Oh, hey everybody! We're fun. I mean, somebody, yeah, it's welcome back to our folks here at the at Immigration Impact Litigation Group. We, interestingly enough, we haven't been alive for like a month, and people ask me, "Where are you?" Well, nobody just wants to hear us talk. Do you really just like to hear us talk? Is that what it is? Jess, you're looking great. Greg, you're looking great. You guys both have your furry sweaters on because it's still a little chilly. Whereas here in Atlanta, it's just rainy. It's just raining. It's flooding, rainy kind of stuff. So, first thing we want to talk about, Jess, and this will shock people. We want to talk about the diversity lottery litigation because there's something that happened this week that is, and no, it's not a decision. But Jess, you want to address what happened and where we are with that?
Yeah, I mean, some of our colleagues on the Fong Jong and some of the other ones, I think Good Luck, they filed a motion with Judge Mehta to lift kind of the stay that was in place of the order to start processing and handling the issuance of these diversity visas that were awarded due to the delay. And I give Curtis Morrison and his team, Rafa, a bunch of credit for the idea and the effort. I looked at what they submitted, and kudos to them. I don't know if the Gomez team will be filing something, but I think it's the point is, and Curtis put this in an eloquent way. I mean, the delay here is causing real world harm. People are crossing the southern border because they can't wait in their home country. So, I think every plaintiff's counsel and team member wants a decision. It's not like we're holding it up. And now we're in the experimental phase at how do we get a decision? Like, because we don't, it's odd. It really is odd. Like,
I have no explanation for an 18-month-long wait on an appeal after argument. It's this is just bizarro to me, and I appreciate them taking that step, and we'll see what happens.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think do the district court judges have informal conversations with the appellate judges over?
Well, they're in the same building. I mean. But I don't think they will. I don't know. I don't think they will.
I'm just wondering whether the judge is going to, the judge at the lower level, basically ever sends a note up saying, it's what's happening?
Well, maybe he calls upstairs. He goes down the hallway and says, "Hey, didn't you guys decide this yet? What's going on?" I'm sure he sees Judge Henderson at lunch, and you could just ask her downstairs in the lunchroom. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be successful, but I hope it is. It's ultimately, I do not see Judge Mehta reopening this case because I think Judge Mehta would like to be an appellate court judge one day, honestly. And this is if he was a 82-year-old district court judge, didn't give a flying flip about anything, and he was ticked off that his order wasn't being enforced, yeah, he might do it. I don't see that happening.
Well, I mean, I think too. The other thing that we need to realize is that there's obviously a sharp disagreement.
Clearly, there's no other explanation for this.
Yeah, there's no. They can't agree on the language. They can't. There's just. I don't know if maybe there is another appeal in the Allies case, and I don't think it's going to impact us. But the Allies case is on the Afghan SIV visas. And so, Judge Chutkan awarded summary judgment to those SIV applicants because they weren't being processed. And, I don't think there's a ton of overlap, but I know that case is pending an appeal too. And
have they argued that case yet?
They did. Yeah, they've argued it, and they've been waiting about, I'd say, 4 months at this point. And, again, so you have multiple cases before that court dealing with the, kind of, I don't know, slow walking. And in our case, it's a little different because, but both district courts had ordered, had granted summary judgment. And so ordering the government to do something, our case involves a statutory deadline maybe, but and that whole thing. But yeah, it's just, if they can tell us that Trump wasn't can't be taken off the ballot in 30 days, and that's a complex case. The judges could do it. I mean, they could do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we don't have any more, people ask questions. We don't really have any more update than that. The government, the way it works is the government now has, is it 10 or 14 days to respond to this motion? Then you get a reply brief. The judge is not going to reject it outright, though. They don't want to reject it outright. And I think the real purpose of this, because I think there's no doubt in my mind that the circuit court will be alerted to this. It's in the docket. I think they'll be alerted to this. And I think that is the message here. Rather than, because the other alternative is technically you can send a request to the circuit court. I mean, I've never done that. I've never heard anybody doing that, but I think you can. But I don't think that helps your case. And of course, the government doesn't mind the wait. I mean, think about this. This case may last until the next Trump administration's in. Well, if it goes to SCOTUS, it absolutely will. It absolutely will be here if Trump wins election. Don't, pray to God.
Well, I think too. I mean, you have to read obviously what's in the decision. I think the losing party is probably going to go to the Supreme Court anyway.
Well, we certainly are.
Right. I think, I think no matter what administration, I mean, unless they made it in such a way that it wouldn't impact presidential authority, they won't.
No. Yeah. All right. So that's our go. And nobody's going to ask, so what's the status of go? Now we'll just say go back to the first part of our meeting. But Greg, I definitely want to talk about the 601A litigation because you have some really interesting news to share about that, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, just some data on here. So we are, we haven't had one of these overviews in a while, and I did want to let people know we are now the majority of our plaintiffs have been approved. We have 0 denials. So 156 approved, 0 denials, 140 that remain pending. As far as the where we are in that queue, I've seen October 2nd, I think, is the latest filing date for any of our plaintiffs.
That's a great sign. That's a great sign because that's what that tells me, knowing that they're doing anywhere from 2 to 3 months every month.
Right.
So they're probably only a month away from being in 2021 at this point.
Yeah, I mean so that's the good news on here. We were chatting beforehand that they did make a promise that by October 1st, 2023, they were going to have these cases at a 1-year turnaround, and they're still at 3. They still have cases that were filed 3.5 years ago that are pending. So that's not great. But it is at least they're not getting worse.
And let's not forget the promise that they told the judge that they would, by October of 2024, they would be down to 12 months.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think that I don't think well, then maybe they did tell the judge that. It came up also in a stakeholders call that they said that they were going to, by the end of the fiscal year, they were going to be down to a year. The fiscal year ended last September 30th. So they seem to be pretty comfortable making promises that they don't keep.
Well, think about it. In order to get to that date, they've still got 3 years of cases to do to get to 12 months in the next 8 months.
Right.
So I don't think they're going to do it. But the other thing on this case that's really interesting, Jess, is that the Ninth Circuit, which took a related case, same issue, not related, but same issue, on an expedited appeal, had expedited briefing within like a month and a half, had oral argument in November, no decision on a very conservative panel.
That was honestly the worst argument I ever heard in my life. That's an accurate statement. That was a terrific.
And Jesse has done hundreds of arguments, by the way.
That was just a tough. It was just, you know what? It wasn't plaintiff's counsel's fault. I mean, or our side's fault. It was really that I think they came in with a position. Clerks briefed the judges, and I think they had a position that was just like, this is obvious, and it's not obvious because it's the choice to issue a decision is not like something that you cannot do. Like, it's not like, okay, so it's a difference between, I can deny it or as a matter of discretion, but there's no discretion to issue a decision. And that's just the fight. And again, this battle was fought. This war was fought 20 years ago when the APA and immigration litigation really started. So, maybe they went back and did some homework. And, the Fourth Circuit case was also argued recently, and I think it went a little bit better, but not great. So we're just going to have to see what happens, what comes of it. But I'm not surprised there hasn't been a decision.
I'm a little, but that means our case is pending still, that decision. So there's that. That, of course, I put the wrong thing up. That was the joint delayed litigation. The 601 case, I put them up backwards. I apologize. 601 case, we are on appeal at the 8th Circuit. Aaron's not with us today. He's unable to join us today. But Aaron is handling the principal attorney on that appeal. And that brief has been filed. I think they did a terrific job. But the government's brief I haven't seen the government's brief yet. It must be due shortly, Jesse.
Yeah, I think they had 30 days. I don't know what the exact date is, but it's coming. It's just going to be hey, the district court judge read it right. You can't do anything because we don't have to ever issue a decision. That's basically the position.
Yeah, it's a crazy position.
Well, the thing, what's crazy too, and it's they're pushing out these new fees. It's like, okay, we can just give you money and you never service what we're paying for. It's just I don't even understand.
Jesse, it's a Ponzi scheme. USCIS is a Ponzi scheme. What else could it be?
If their position is right, if it's I can give you money for an adjudication, and
that I don't have to do ever.
I don't have to do it. You just
Ponzi scheme.
I get to take your money. Yeah.
There are people in federal prison for doing this exact thing.
Oh, totally.
Absolutely. Hey,
because it's an agreement, by the way. It's a
contract.
Yeah, it's an agreement. Like, I'm going to give you this in exchange.
Well, it's even an agreement with a promised processing time at the time. Yeah. Hey, here's what we're doing. Yeah. It's all right. Uniting for Ukraine. This is a case where we sued the government to get the money back that they stole from Ukrainian refugees. And something really weird is going on, Jesse.
Honestly, how many times have I said this today that this is like something I've never dealt with? They had a deadline. They asked for a little bit more time to respond to our motion for class certification so that we kind of,
protect everybody.
And again, keep in mind, the judge has been really gracious and open about what she would like to see happen. She wants a quick decision. She'd like a settlement. Why don't we all come to the table here? Hey, bring in the Afghans too. Let's get this done. We know what the numbers are. And, the government at first was like, hey, well, let's see. Radio silence. We've put together the motion for class certification. And their deadline was Friday on extension.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, Chuck, if it were you or me,
my God,
our bar license, we'd be before the board of overseers or whatever it is.
Well, I know what would have happened. Yeah. We would have had a call from a judge's court.
Our licenses would be in jeopardy.
Yeah.
I mean, this is crazy.
It is. It is like there's like I would at least. I mean, honestly, everyone maybe you blow a deadline, and I would be like, number one, usually judges would issue something by now. or you have to at least put on there like, hey, I was in a 10-car pileup on the freeway, and but like that's a giant office. This isn't the law office of Charles Cook. Like this is the DOJ. Someone has to file something. Like, what is going on?
Yeah, but we would all be calling our malpractice carriers at this point because we'd be getting sued by claims.
Well, it's funny too. Just to bring it back into like the administrative world, like if you blow an RFE deadline by a day, what happens?
Just concede it, man. They concede the point.
Right,
You make a decision, Judge. Maybe we need to file a motion for ruling on the filings. I mean, at this point, it's
I would not be surprised. I mean, I don't know how much longer the judge can kind of be like. I mean, because the other thing is this, and I've had this happen recently, with COVID and everything else. There's a civil chief who would email me and say, hey, so-and-so, the attorney assigned to this case just came down with a sickness. Can you give us a couple days or whatever? And absolutely, right? So
Yeah.
this is like, where did you go?
it just disappeared.
I think it's really, I mean, I don't know. It's not right is what it is. It's not right.
To me, it's very strange. And, and the thing is, immigration's making money by not returning those monies to those refugees.
Yeah.
It's completely bananas. It's a crazy time.
I'm telling you right now, I don't know, like, again, I know we talked about this and attorney's fees and other types of damages, but the government on the legal, like, kind of issue, which is, do we have to return the money back, are dead to rights. And they're playing all these games. It was the same thing when we filed Shumalina in the Northern District. They knew that we had read the statute correctly. And then they played these games. Then they issued a policy memo thinking like they did it, like they're doing people a favor. And this whole ping pong about the fees, like it's like they're like squatters. They're squatters in this house of the Ukrainian refugees. Like, give me back my house. Give me back the fees.
Gotta love you, Jesse. Hey, by the way, we're celebrating today is the first anniversary of the first legitimate H1B lottery.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It literally went live about 19 minutes ago. So congratulations to all those participating in this year's first legitimate H1B lottery. You're welcome, by the way. It's been fun. Do you think they would have changed it otherwise? I would say no. You had to be sued. I want to also mention it looks like we're going to be doing another piece of litigation against the Department of Labor on the delays in prevailing wages and adjudication. So we've got a couple of plaintiffs in talks right now to get that ready. So we're really excited to sue the Department of Labor who are screwing over 100,000 people who have pending labor certifications waiting a year. Contrary to their promise in 2007, it would only take 30 days to do it. So It's COVID. Yeah, it's COVID. Let's take some questions today. Let's say first one. Oh, Hayes. We answered those questions. October 2020. And I will tell you, there's a great Facebook group where a lot of our plaintiffs are in. Everybody's posting when they get their approvals in there. So I knew before Greg talked that we were in October. Doesn't mean there's still not some Septembers, by the way, because you got to give them a little leeway on adjudication. So, but congratulations, though. 9/30 or October. I don't know if that's Russian, Greg, but if it is,
it means useless chatter.
Does it really?
Sorry, Syed. We'll try harder.
Thank you, Syed. Thank you. Good. Can you advise the new system have been approved in the silver receipt date? We talked about that already. How do you fill out the travel section of a DS-260? It's not really a question we talk about here, but I would tell you to go to cbp.gov and put your passport number in, and it'll tell you your history of visits to the United States over the last 10 years at least. My wife, the petitioner, applied for an expedited request for financial loss, and they haven't responded for over a month. Oh, an expedite to an I-130 because of financial loss. Yeah, they're not going to approve that. I mean,
they used to do a lot. They did a lot better though before with expedite requests, where they would at least give you an opportunity to submit docs. Now they don't even respond.
No, it's useless. I mean, sue them. You want to get it expedited? Sue them. Hey, someone in the 61 Foot group said the Senate had a meeting yesterday on processing times. Have you heard anything about that? Wasn't alerted to any hearing in the Senate yesterday. Were you, Greg? The Senate's it wasn't even in session yesterday. I mean, they're in today, but they weren't even in yesterday because it was election day. So there was no hearing yesterday that I'm aware of. Good evening. Please hurry help with my DV 2024 case. Generally we're not in the DV business. I'm sure the Department of State is up to their shenanigans again. But I don't know anything about the DV 2024 case. I do apologize. I don't have any clients doing that this year. And generally, yeah, it's a low number. You should get it. But, our experience is they move very slow for the first 6 months and then they move forward fast.
It's March.
It's March. So I think you might be picking up. Are they now processing October 2020? Yes. And finally, I was asking approval for 61. Pixel ones. Thank you, Mr. Lyons. We have not been alerted to any new adjudications. I think we still have 9 plaintiffs left in that case. In fact, they actually just put the process times longer on the 601s. They went from 22 to 24 months on the 601. Aaron, I have approved EB2 country of birth, India. This administration is not going to do anything before the election, nothing to make immigration easier. They're not. They don't see it as a political winner. They're not going to do it. Now, if they get reelected, would they do it? Greg, what do you think?
It depends on what they make up the percentage on there, but if they got a Senate that was willing to get rid of the filibuster and the House goes with the Democrats, then I think a lot of ideas that have been on the table for years would probably come back to life.
Okay. But will they do it by policy? I mean, can they do it by policy?
The only thing I think they can the only things that can really do by policy probably to improve green card numbers would be to deal with derivatives and not count kids and spouses. That would, I think they can do that. They've had memos for years, including one from Ayla from 10 years ago that explained the legal theory why they can do it. And
Greg, this case, I had a conversation.
I think that would make a big change in green cards. Now they could do things like EADs for everybody and all that. They can do a lot of things that would make life better for people in the backlogs. But the only thing that they could do to actually reduce the backlog is probably to change the method, how they.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because I was on a call with a reporter today who was doing a story on Chevron doctrine. Chevron doctrine, for all of you who aren't lawyers that aren't bored to death already, basically says when you sue the government, if the government agency like immigration took a position like we're going to count derivatives that's not written in the law, Chevron says, hey, judge, you have to give credit to the government for knowing the law better than you. All right. There's a case for the Supreme Court that probably going to get rid of that case. Mm-hmm. And so the talk was, what does that mean for us? Well, frankly, I would sue the day after to get rid of counting derivatives because why? The only reason they hasn't done it in a lawsuit is because the court would probably say, well, the government knows the law better than me. And now the Supreme Court says, no, they don't. No, they don't. So some interesting thing may be happening in June.
That's kind of a weird politically because it's the Democrats and generally left of center folks are very worried about that case, not about immigration, but because of environmental regulations and all kinds of other things on there. But immigration lawyers, generally speaking, immigrants have gotten the royal screwing from the from that Chevron case over the years. It's generally worked against immigrants more than it's worked for them. So I think from the immigration lawyer perspective, we see opportunity, whereas a lot of other fields, they see this as impending doom.
Okay. Emily, now I got to ask you guys, especially Greg, do you have a number? What's your high-low number for H1B applications this year? Knowing last year they had 725,000, of which 300,000 or more were duplicates. What's your number? What you coming out?
I think we're going to get back to more historic normal numbers. The economy is
350.
Well, the economy's strong, which has a big impact on the numbers. And I think we're probably going to see in the 300,000 to 400,000 range. I think that's about right.
All right. So my high-low number is 520. I'm going big this year.
Okay.
Going big. 520. And if that's the case, that would be terrible, by the way, because that would be even way worse odds than even winning with multiple entries of last year. It would be terrible.
And why do you think that the beneficiary-centric lottery and
well, it's sheer numbers, Greg. It's just about numbers. It's not that it's worse. This is better lottery because you have an honest chance of winning.
You think it's still people? It's just people are finding it's still so easy to apply for. I mean, I guess it's still $10.
It's $10, and if it's 520,000, you only statistically have like a 13% chance of winning.
I mean that's true. When if they get to a number that is expensive enough that employers say, you know what, this is not free anymore. $10 is free. I mean, it's free on there. They now apply for the lottery. So if it was a couple $100. I think employers would say, you know what, I can do.
Yeah, I don't think a couple $100 matter. I don't think that matters. I don't think you make it a couple $1,000. Yeah, that might matter. A couple hundred? Yeah. They're going to
either that or consider it like a bond where you have to pay the money that gets refunded.
Pay the filing fee. Pay the filing fee in advance. They would love that.
We know how good they are at refunds. So.
I'm sure they would refund it without a problem.
We know from litigation experience that they're not very good at refunds.
No, they're not.
With that,
Judicious is commenting on the fact if they get reelected. Yeah, if they get reelected, which honestly I'm not positive. I don't think it's going to happen.
I agree.
I think it's looking much better for Donald Trump than anybody else, which is, of course,
it's been announced yesterday she's dropping out. That means that Arizona race is a lot more likely. I mean, the Democrats.
Oh no, that's Gallegos.
Yeah,
Gallegos got a good chance there.
The Democrats' chances of picking up a seat or two, especially they have a lot of seats up. I think their numbers are. I think they have a shot.
The Florida race with Scott, he's only up by like 1 point.
Yeah, there's a lot of close races.
So it might be, never know. Never know. And the last question, Curtis, yes, go back to the beginning part of this video and we talk all about that for quite some time. So great to be with everybody. Jesse, you're looking good today. The room looks like it got painted. I can't really tell.
It hasn't. I think I cleaned my camera. I'm dressed up. I would like to say I'm dressed up for you, but today is my mother's 75th birthday. So
awesome.
I have to go visit. I'm going to visit my mother.
Well, you got the memo on the shirt, so you're in good shape. So
yeah, I'm not in my hoodie today with one day, but
we'll see you guys all next week. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Easy. Bye-bye.